The Cloth Story. The beauty of this world created by the Almighty is something which must be appreciated and glorified. The expression of love towards His creations on a canvas in the form of a piece of cloth is a valuable heirloom that must be passed down from generation to generation. The artistic expression on a piece of cloth inspired by its creator is a masterpiece which not everybody is able to do, let alone uphold. Quite a feat. This Malay art heritage must be preserved so that it will not end up in the archives too soon. As one of the figures who is still championing the art of batik blocks, an Adi Guru better known as Potya is concerned that no one from the family or younger generation would care about, let alone show interest in continuing this legacy. Something which needs to be addressed. It is said that Potya is the last stamp maker in Terengganu. He's been making stamps since he was 12 years old, which was in the 50s. Apa yang saya faham, stamp ni dulu diperbuat daripada kayu Potya?
Ya.
Lepas tu macam mana dia boleh evolve menjadi diperbuat daripada tembaga dengan besi?
Dia macam peralihan zaman kan. Daripada blok kayu pergi ke blok steel. Sekarang daripada blok steel pergi ke copper.
Okey. Tapi kalau tengok kat sini macam-macam motif kat sini kan. Motif ni asal dia dari mana?
Tu di Terengganu ke, di Kelantan ke, dia ada identiti lain-lain.
Kalau dalam experience Potya, motif apa paling terkenal atau yang orang suka?
Dari dulu sampai sekarang pun sama, tak sama. Jenis sekarang ni, kalau zaman dulu dia panggil masa saya belajar di Indo, dia panggil geometry. Mana sekarang ni di Malaysia kita panggil abstract.
Nak tahu kalau chop ni masih relevan tak?
Chop sekarang ni memang dia tak mati. Tapi yang nak cok ni tu tak ada orang sekarang ni. Sebab pelapis-pelapis tak ada.
Membuat chop ni.
Cuma yang ada pun orang lama-lama macam berusia lah.
Okay.
Tapi pelapis-pelapis baru ni kurang. Dia orang muda-muda sekarang ni susah sikit nak ambil bahagian batik, bahagian cop. Bahagian buat ni lagi jauh.
Tapi kalau misalnya orang-orang luar, kalau kita bukan orang Malaysia, dia orang datang ke
dia
belajar
minat.
juga.
Macam satu saya punya customer dari Amerika. Dia pandai cop.
Oh iya ke?
Dia buat bisnes sana.
Dengan Potya apa?
Dia buat cop dengan Potya. Kadang-kadang dia datang ke Malaysia, dia ajak Potya pergi sana.
Oh iya ke? Oh,
so
he's got foreign customers who actually practice this entire not stamp making, but stamping, especially in America.
I think pioneers, there's nothing wrong with the fact that they believe in what they believe because it's been such a long traditional art. But I think for the younger generations, it's also, we have to consider a lot of different factors. We're not changing the course of what it is, but we're just modifying a little bit and, moving with time. So a lot of cases about, I think, the prints as well. How do you move with time? How do you simplify it? The color options that people can relate to day-to-day kind of wear.
Batik stamping isn't something new, but because of mass production, manufacturers have opted to more modern techniques such as digital printing. However, the rise in batik movements have made stamping make its comeback slowly. Potya, boleh tak tunjuk sikit proses nak buat ni?
Ni dia panggil proses mencantum. Dari tengok design dia, kalau kita kata kalau yang dekat, yang padat tu, kita jauhkan sikit dia. Cuma tak ikut design lah.
Potya, boleh tak ada berdiri kat sana? Senang sikit tengok. Boleh. So kalau benda ni dia untuk letak wax stamp kan? So benda-benda yang macam ni dia tak boleh ada lubang lah. Dia mesti bercantum lah.
Dia mesti kena padat.
Pertama kali Potya habiskan satu stamp pada umur Potya berapa?
Dalam umur 12 tahun hingga ke 18 tahun.
Oh, belajar
Lepas tu berhenti. Semasa tu payah pergi mendalam di Indonesia ni.
Oh, berapa tahun dekat Indonesia?
Dalam 5 tahun lah.
Oh.
Payah belajar buat cara teknik buat apa ni, proses blok di sana lah.
Lepas mencantum ni, dia ada proses apa lagi?
Kira kemas dulu. Kita macam lihat dia dulu sekali ke bawah tu, macam mana kejadian dia. Setelah kita pusing dia, kadang puas hati kan, mana dia dah kemas, barulah proses. Masukkan yang apa ni, lubang-lubang tu masuk semua, bagi dia padat. Sebab dia mau padat semua. Bila kita tengok dia dalam keadaan puas hati ke, barulah kita buang design dia. Lepas siap semua, baru kita pasang tepi dia. Jadi yang no.
Oh,
dia
ni
belum pasang tangan lagi.
Ini. Oh, ini belum pasang tangan. So dia tepi dia
tepi dulu, macam penahan dia dulu.
Penahan dulu.
The cloth story. The cloth story. Textile. It emerged as a clothing material that evolved after humankind learned about threads and the weaving process. From humans' instinct to form, shape, create, and process, one of the world's greatest creations was born, the teleport costume, which is fading with time. Teleport, the art of textile embellishment using gold foiled or parada. When viewed with the naked eye, the costume looks simple, but if we take a closer look, the process is complicated and meticulous, yet produces such beautiful results.
Teleport is one of the most expensive. Nobody talks about teleport. It's only recently there's a teleport craze, right? Because of the programs on TV. Before, nobody knows about teleport because it was only reserved for the royalty. Also because it was very expensive. You have to use real 25 karat or 24 karat gold leaf to apply it, and the technique is very difficult to make. So it's the most rare and expensive of Malay textiles.
According to ancient literature, the lepok means flower or a design that uses gold through a technique called menelepok. The telepok was an exclusive fabric used by the Malay rulers back in the 18th century. John Ang. Not only does he possess a deep interest in collecting textile treasures from around the world, but he also learned the process of making teleport to better experience it and further appreciate the value of the textile. He feels it necessary to learn more about it as the craft is extremely valuable and would be wasted if it is not mastered and preserved. Therefore, mastering the menggerus technique is one of the processes of making teleport that he has learned, as well as several other basic teleport techniques.
The first time I got to know about teleport was actually through Nohaiza Nordin. He explained to me, and then I attended one of his wonderful teleport workshops in Pekan in the Abu Bakar Museum. And he gave us all a kit to do the teleport. So the first thing we had to do is he gave us these little blocks where we have to carve our own pattern of what we want to make on the cloth. So I made, of course, this Islamic pattern of crescent and moon, and then behind is a swastika, which is also an Islamic pattern. Many people think it's a Chinese pattern, but actually this swastika you find in Patani on the mosque, in the walls, it's all carved all over the mosque, right? So it's an old Malay pattern as well, and then this bunga pattern. Okay, so what you do is after that you must make sure that this is very smooth, and then you mix the glue. So you have to heat up the glue to a right consistency. The consistency is very important because if it's the wrong consistency, the glue will dry too fast, or if it dries too slow, it will smudge the whole cloth.
During the pandemic, everybody was restricted by materials, by studio. I was away from my studio, and I found that time for me to learn how to do weaving. So when I learned how to do weaving online, I didn't have a lot of materials, and through the internet, I found ways to make yarn out of t-shirts, and I myself started teaching online too. And I think it's a great way to spread the word and to also encourage people to learn, especially those who, you can't meet. Like for instance, I go back to my classes with Langkasuka and meeting Adi Guru, who was all the way in Terengganu, and he is explaining how he carves his chops and where he gets his inspiration, him sharing his researches that is spanned from East Coast all the way to KL, Kuala Lumpur, and getting his information. And I found that there were similar findings in his learning too, especially in terms of designing his blocks, which I think there's similarity in Tenun, in Songket, the designs that he uses. So that's a great discovery for me.
The kain telepo is lavish fabric that was only worn by Malay nobility more than 300 years ago. It also refers to the sunflower and lotus patterns that were gilded onto woven fabric. Join me, Arabyrd, as we reveal this fading art only on The Cloth Story. From one place to another I have explored, the telepo has finally been found, but many things still remain unearthed. The story of telepo, the carrier of legacy. From Kuala Terengganu, I decided to head over to Besut. This journey feels very meaningful as I am on the way to meet one of the Adi Gurus responsible for bringing back the art of telepo that almost got buried in time. Bakawali Sari Warisan, where an Adi Guru of the carving craft, Nurhaiza Nordin, creates a variety of carving art. Realizing the importance of bringing back the telepo after feeling that responsibility must be borne perfectly, Nurhaiza began the process of searching for the origins of the telepo, as well as a few other experiments in terms of techniques and such. The Cloth Story. The Cloth Story.
Kalau kita tengok dalam buku teks yang berkenaan dengan teks, dia ada dua baris ayat saja tentang telepuk. Sama ada sajaknya ataupun gurindam apa semua yang berkenaan dengan telepuk, dan ada sedikit je telepuk. Sebab tak ada maklumat yang khusus, yang lengkap tentang telepuk. Sebenarnya cerita ni bermula pada tahun awal 2000. Saya dihadiahkan ataupun diamanahkan untuk memegang, atau dibagi pada saya lah, seorang Inggeris yang nak balik dah, dia suami dia pencen. Masa tu dia kata tak ada orang dia nak bagi selain daripada saya. Jadi dia bagi tekstil lah, termasuk jubah lama-lama. Ini pun daripada Tan Sri Muhyiddin Shepherd, Ketua Pengarah Museum Negara yang pertama. Antara kain-kain yang dia bagi itu, termasuklah satu kain yang berwarna biru yang dicop. Saya tengok tertarik. Jadi saya tak tahu apalah. Saya tahu dia dibuat daripada emas lah, dicop dengan kertas emas. Jadi saya simpan hampir 20 tahun. Hampir 20 tahun saya simpan. Jadi satu hari saya didatangi oleh museum, pegawai-pegawai daripada Museum Selangor. Dia minta saya buat chop telepuk. Chop telepuk ni mudah sangatlah, yang macam biskuit tu kan. Tak okey pun, cuma outline. Jadi saya kata, kenapa benda ni sampai ke Besut? Dia kata tak ada orang berani nak buat sebab dia bukan macam ukiran biasa. Ukiran tu memang rumit, tapi ini walaupun tidak rumit, dia satu yang tidak biasa dia orang buat. Jadi pengukir pun menolak untuk menerima tempahan tu. Jadi datang sini.
After learning so much in Kelantan, I have been gravitating towards the patterns on the songkets and the batiks, and right now I am so lucky to be able to catch Adi Guru Nurhaiza, or the locals call him Bangja, a master of wood carving. Betul Abe?
betul.
Betul saya sebut Abe?
Ya, betul.
Abeja.
Yeah.
He has been a master of wood carving for many years, so he felt the responsibility to continue this legacy because it takes a master carver to build or to carve these stamp,
Chop.
these chops.
Ya.
So saya tengok kat sini banyak alat-alat shell ni semua. So boleh tak Abeja explain sikit apa ada kat atas meja ni sekarang?
Jadi gini, siput ni nampak asing daripada atas meja ni. Kenapa? Apa tugas dia dekat
Dia
sini?
bukan penahan kain
Tidak, dia adalah bila kita dapat satu kain, kita kena buat proses menggerus. Kilat daripada siput ni akan melekat pada kain ni. Kita boleh tengok ya bila kita buat gerus gini. Tapi dia ada alat khusus lah. Ini saya tunjuk secara manual. Yang
ni tadi apa ni?
Ini adalah chop yang diukir. Yang diukir menggunakan kayu yang berira halus. Dia nampak halus ya, dia tak kasar, dia halus. Halus sesuai untuk supaya dia tidak akan chop tu nanti dia akan nampak garis-garis pada kayu tu.
Yang lain-lain ni?
Ini adalah kertas emas. Gold leaf dia panggil, yang 100%. Dia adalah emas tulen yang dibuat secara tradisional di Thailand. Jadi ini adalah bahan di mana kita boleh lihat proses terakhir ni menggunakan kertas emas. Dia akan lekat menggunakan gam Arabyrd. Ya, Arabyrd gam yang perlu dimasak mengikut sukatan yang betul untuk mendapatkan likatan dia tu.
So boleh tak tunjuk macam mana proses ni?
Ini ada satu sudip ataupun satu kayu yang dibuat daripada buluh dan nipis supaya senang kita ambil ni. Jadi kita sapu gam tadi di lengan kerana dia elastik anjal. Dia sebab lengan kita ni bertindak sebagai dia anjal, elastik. Dia tidak, kalau kita letak atas ini dia tidak akan lekat.
So dia contouring dia elok lah macam tu.
Itu kita pegang, tengok sini lekat ke atau tidak. Ini kita kena pastikan gam itu lekat pada semua bahagian chop tu. Kita mark tanda tempat yang nak di chop tu.
Such intricate work. So right now, I believe he is dusting the gold leaf onto the stamp.
Ini yang dipanggil telepuk.
So
menelepuk tu.
This exact technique is called menelepuk.
Ya, menelepuk.
I get to do it. Brush off with it.
Slow.
It is amazing how fragile this gold leaf is. Ada masa-masa yang tertentu tak kalau nak menelepuk ni?
Perlukan cuaca yang elok, panas, waktu panas, dan supaya kelembapan tu dia tidak serap kelembapan.
So the climate does affect the process of telepuk, because if it's too moist, you don't get the complete effect onto the cloth. As you can see here, it looks very simple. It looks like it was done just without much thought to it. But as you can see, Abeja he looks very calm, but I wonder what's going on in his head right now. It is not easy to continue the legacy if there is no teacher who is willing to delve into the art of telepuk. I feel honored to have met Adi Guru Nurhaiza himself, who was willing to give me the chance and space to experience firsthand how the palace dwellers back in those days, some hundreds of years ago, created their own costumes through the telepuk process. The liput cloth glittering gold, worn by the palace's adornment, carefully kept, tidily stored, reflecting the race's splendor. Until next time, I am Arabyrd, and this is the Cloth Story.